And we're back with game 2 with Miracles versus Bonobos. So start with drafting. We got Sivir Sona bot lane versus Thresh Vayne. As long as the Sona doesn't get hooked a lot and they can ward out for the Zac ganks, I think actually the Sivir Sona should win. Just because Sona can be really good as a laning support. But you have to be really careful with your positioning. Uh, Otherwise, Vayne technically in a 1v1 does beat Sivir. Doesn't take that much. Um, Zac jungle is pretty good if you can get through the early game. And versus Jarvan, so Jarvan can definitely have the early game impact, and it's not like Jarvan has a scale either. So while Zac's a really good late game jungler, Jarvan does have his own tricks up his sleeve, and I personally think skills fairly well, having the option of always being able to flash knock up people uh, with his EQ, and also your alt's going to be really good against both pretty much everyone except for the Vayne probably, so it's pretty good. Um, Shen versus Kled. This is the same matchup that happened on the Saturday game between Krabs and the other team. Totally forgetting their name, but basically, I think the Shen is fine as a laning pick, but the matchup becomes pretty meh after a while. If the Kled went Conquer, it would be really good, but the Kled went press the attack, so it's actually a lot better for the Shen this way because the Conquer just gives you the true damage that you actually really need. So looking for a 5-man invade, it's going to be going through bot lane. With the 5 point, if the Sivir's paying attention, might have to start Spell Shield possibly. Uh, should be fine. And should not result in anything because they are in their spots when they need to be. Hugging the wall to the very last second, see them, nothing happens. But as I was saying, the Shen versus Kled is basically in lane. Shen, especially like pre-6, Shen does have a fair amount of damage and tools between his shield and his W to negate a lot of the damage and trade very effectively with the Kled. Um, it's just, it feels really bad when you can't split against the Kled because at some point the Kled will just do more damage than you. Um, but without Conquer, it might not be as prevalent. We'll see on how that one works out. But it's gonna be hard to split, considering also Kled and Zac are pretty good hard engage, and like that's one of the ways you can stop splitting or a poke comp is you just have super hard engage between those. So might be interesting. Uh, the Orianna versus Vlad, it's just all about the Ori trying to control trying to control the lane early on. She does have a lot better laning phase than the Vladimir. Now after, as with most matchups with Vlad, once Vlad hits level 9, his matchups gets a lot better. So going with routes, we have the Jarvan who's invading on the top side, and the Zac is on bot side. He hasn't really invaded, he's just cleared 2 camps. Going to look for see if the blue's open, seeing if they recognize that this is going to just be a vertical jungling, which it looks like both teams just kind of agreed it's going to be, except the Jarvan left the wolves, which is kind of tragic because he's going to miss out on some camps now. Because I don't think red team knows that the Zac is actually there. Probably should be guessing because there is a ward on the blue buff, and if the Jarvan doesn't see the Zac come there, he should probably know that there's a good chance that his blue's also going to be gone from the Zac. Zac does the same thing, leaves the wolves up though, so perfectly fine. Golems are not cleared, so the Jarvan's going to fall behind in XP because Golems have the most XP out of any camp, and not resetting them, getting more XP that way is going to cost him that way. Going for the Skull Crab right now. Cloud's getting pushed in. Should be able to pick up most of that CS under tower though. And Ori's running out of mana, so the Vlad's gonna have a lot better time in that lane. Getting ganked though, so actually should be dead. Well, no, if he pops up, oh, the flash. Okay, so that was a pretty good play. He knew that if he doesn't flash immediately, then they're just gonna flash auto immediately before he can get the Q off and get the Q healing. Because for the Vlad Q, the healing comes after like a second when like the blood's coming towards you, I guess. But the damage is immediate, so it's pretty good. Good flash on that. With Ori running out of mana, it is still a little bit easier for him, but he is pretty low on HP still, so we'll see how that works. Good flay. I don't know if the hook has been thrown yet. Here comes the hook. So this should be okay in bot lane. 29 and 27. Pretty much just gotta wait until the Sivir can get 1 or 2 items to try to perma push the wave so that the Sona can harass under tower a lot easier. Comes a gank from the Zac. Don't think they can get the kills there without having flash on the Vladimir. Until he gets his mount back. Do you know Mahar plays a lot of Shen, so it's definitely a pick that he's comfortable with, and maybe Omega Lol doesn't know how to play. Hasn't played too much Kled, because it is a relatively new-ish meta pick that's been coming out because of recent buff. Good ganks, going for the Thresh, knowing that the Vayne's going to Lantern out, but the Zac is there for the counter gank, which is tragic because all your cooldowns are down. Sona might die here. Yep, the flash flay gets the trade kill, but doesn't go over the Sivir though. Sivir's autoing minions. So without flash and the Sona specifically, this lane's actually going to be a lot worse for red side, because you still got to worry about the Thresh throwing hooks out and flaying, and also going to have to worry about the Zac ganking from everywhere. So this is definitely a very hard lane that their red team's going to have now from this point forward, pretty much. Mid lane's pushing into the Orion's pushing into the Vladimir, which is fine. We have the Thresh roaming up, which I actually really like. If you can get Mobies first, definitely roaming to other lanes. Top lane is a little far away, but like if your Vayne's not going to be there and the wave's pushing back at some point, then it's not too bad. Getting vision down. The only problem with the going top lane is that there was no reason, there was no way that a gank was going to happen with the wave getting pushed in. And it's not like you have the damage, so misses the hook sadly, but throws it out anyway. And with Moby, you should be able to get back in time just in case. No vision in the river, so red team can't extend. They do have the pink ward on their tribush, so them extending and trying to get a plate maybe and harass the Vayne under tower isn't going to happen. Also, the Sivir might not have base to get her items. She got a Cull, so definitely going to be looking to farm a lot more, which is pretty obvious being a Sivir itself. Shen should probably base pretty soon. Doesn't have many items. If the Clyde hits 6 and tries to ult, he's not going to have too many combat stats to fight that. Cled's going for Phage first, so he's looking like he's going for the Black Cleaver first, which kind of shows that this guy might not know how to play Kled too much, because against something like Shen, while the Black Cleaver is definitely fine, here's the gank from the Zac. She is passive broken, but I'm not sure if he's going to die. Okay. Oop, very close. And see, that's exactly what I'm talking about. The Shen didn't ult, or Shen didn't base, and actually the Kled didn't even ult, so that was kind of bad, I guess. But that was definitely one of those things where without Flash, mid lane's really easy to gank, especially as a Zac. So it's definitely one of the things where they just punished it, which is really good. Definitely one of those things that needed to happen. If you know someone's Flash is down, definitely gank for it, especially something like a Zac where you have probably some of the easiest ganks to do around mid lane because you have so many angles you can come from. You can come from, the Raptors right here. It definitely come from either the bushes, anywhere. Like the angles are just so much because of your slingshot being so long, and Ori just being an immobile carry kind of doesn't help with that either. So for red team, what they need to do is try to look for a alt play from the Shen. They need to pretty much just try to maybe with the Jarvan going in, do like a four-man bot lane or maybe a play on Vladimir. I mean, his flash is up. He still has pool, so that might be a little bit harder. So what might need to happen is since you do have TP, so you can TP back. Definitely should just look with Jarvan resetting after since he's got 6. He just needs to buy, get some health and mana, go straight bottom, and then have the Shen ulting onto the Jarvan. The only problem is Thresh is kind of good into Jarvan if he can land the flare right. But that is one of the plays he can do. The Thresh doesn't have flash either, so it's definitely a play that can be made. So that's what I'm looking for right here. And then for red team, since you have the Zac, who can kind of look for another gank on mid, since try to blow the flash again. Maybe not when Sonar Tower. And the problem, as I was saying before, the problem without Kled going Conquer number one is that the Shen's gonna build armor, so like Conquer does really help a lot. You do go PTA if you're in a situation where let's get the Q. Oh, he lives. Okay. The problem ends up being that I get the flash Q. All right, so could have blown flash because it was a Q, so there's definitely something you react to, but wasn't able to. Um, but as I was saying, like that it's gonna go armor, which is why the black cleaver is getting built. But you need to have pushing on the wave, so that just in case there's a Shen ult, which there's no Shen ult during that entire time on the Sona. Has to have the silver flash too, or TP. Like nothing's being activated here, which is just really bad. Like if you have a Shen, you have to use your ult. Not using your ult like pre 10 minutes is just feeling really bad. Where you haven't you're playing a champion who has an ultimate that's not good in team fights. That's like it's okay if you can combo with like the Jarvan or something like that. But it's not as impactful as say like a Kled ulti who's gonna have your entire team running at someone. Right, and so it's just really awkward that nothing's being used. I mean, they should definitely look for proactive play with the Jarvan possibly. Like I said, the only lane that's really good to gank is the bot lane, right? Like top lane, you could make an argument for you could go and try to kill that, and then that way you can use your ult on a bot lane play. But the Jarvan hasn't really looked top lane at all, so looking mid lane again, which is fine. Vlad still has flash. He's just gonna flash out. Jarvan might die to the red buff. Dies to red buff. And yeah, it's just basically what's happening is that you have. I mean, you don't even like Shen ult wasn't used again there, which it might have been canceled by the Kled. Granted there, but like definitely the shield would have helped. But it's one of those things where it's like you have a Karthus on your team who doesn't ult either. It's like you have to use these global ultimates because the majority of the time, global ultimates just aren't as impactful compared to other ultimates because of the range they just naturally have. Good ult by the Ori. Gets the kill on the Vlad. That was pretty ambitious. I mean, if the Vlad had pool maybe, without like Zac passive, it is pretty hard to maybe think about getting out of that one alive if the Ori still has ult, which is in a pretty short cooldown considering they buffed it a while back, giving a shorter cooldown. Here comes the Thresh to maybe help with the Zac follow-up right here. Gets the Q. Alright, they should get the kill here. Yep. So the repeat gank with a roaming from the Thresh is trying to snowball other lanes, which is pretty good. The Vayne's by herself right now. Having even CS and bot lane for the Vayne is really good. Uh, Definitely can help with the 1v1 potential, maybe the split pushing, who can also split push against the Shen. Um, Sivir does still do really well in team fights. Probably like still outskills the Vayne as far as team fighting damage because the ricochet is just a huge amount of like damage potential, while the true damage is pretty good into the Shen. Maybe some other champions. Gets a good flay, but they're both gonna get stunned up by the ult from the Sona, and he's dead because he doesn't have that. So yeah, bot lane nothing happened because basically, we'll look at that real quick. Then we'll look at the top lane play. But let's see. Okay, so gets the hook. The Sona happens to dodge the minion. If the Sona gets hooked herself, you might actually be looking at a kill just because of the damage. Um, but pretty sure basically gets hooked, has bone plating, so it's a little bit harder to burst real quick. Um, but when you're coming at an angle like this, Soda could just hit a double Soda ult, which is really bad. If you're going really hardcore on this fight, because the Vayne just ulted, you would immediately flash this way, try to flash the Sona ulti, maybe condemn. Um, but this is like how you approach this play right here is just not good. Like you're hiding this bush, and you're trying to make a play over here when you started over here. When you're trying to hide and have them walk into, so like you should have either waited for them to push a little bit more so you can get the guaranteed hook, or just not come at the same angle here. So here's the ult. We don't see it anymore, but nothing's gonna happen there. They're just gonna disengage the entire thing. Sivir ulti, and then here, Shen just blows flash, gets the taunt. Zach might be able to get this. No, too many shields, and also Zach doesn't have enough damage. Shen still has ulti. So, like for example, if the Shen wasn't getting a kill of his own, that play where the thrush was going on in bot lane, if Shen ulted the Sona immediately there, like that would have actually been really good for red team, and they would have been able to turn that around super fast. But since he was trying to get a kill of his own, definitely can't fault him for that. He's taunt under tower. This is one of those things where it kind of just shows that you really can't approach a tower with the Shen or like a Galio just because there's too much potential for getting taunt under tower and take turret aggro. So that's just a mistake on the Zach's part. And that's kind of where Thresh is really good into Jarvan because your EQ is pretty linear unless you use Flash, so it's easier to predict the hook and or the flay. The flay is the easier part. The hook is a little bit harder. So good in the Threshes. Ori doesn't have mana. He gets a little bit of mana from right there from leveling up. Vlad just uses everything to try to harass her out of lane. She's gonna pick up that wave and probably should base because Zach could be coming. Using Rift Herald mid lane because I'm guessing it was expiring, and or he was trying to ward probably. So we get the Tiamat and the Sunfire from the Shen, which is perfectly fine. This is going to make it where it's going to be really hard for the Kled to push back onto the Shen. But since the Shen hasn't been really leaving lane, it's not that big of an issue. Because the big thing is that you want to try to keep the Shen pressured under tower. And without Conquer, like these trades are just not going very well. Sadly, he's going to die again here. I don't. He needs Conquer, he needs to use his ability. Like he's not really using, like he's using his E. You should use your E as something if you're gonna try to chase him down or to escape. Like just using it as like a damage source is just like it doesn't do any damage. Like it does some damage, but it's not that much. So, for bot lane, definitely is keeping the pressure up. They're gonna get this tower, which should be first tower. which is kind of surprising unless they've been just playing super passive. Because Sivir should be able to keep the wave push most of the time, but you have Pink Ward on your Tribush, kind of safe. Should have been able to maybe do some plays there. Going for the dragon. We don't get the nice dragon counter this time, or dragon timer. Ocean Drake is a little late for Ocean Drake, so second Ocean Drake is nice if you're going to do objectives though, because if you do something like Baron, the Ocean regen actually persists through the entire thing. Hook onto the Sona. Good Jarvan ult, good Ori ult. Here comes TP from Kled, ulti from the Shen. They're gonna be able to get the Vlad here. It's gonna take a while though. And the Kled was able to kill the Sona on the back end, so might get the kill here. We'll see. Ooh. Maybe if the Sivir kept walking away, she might have lived. But I was, what, 2 for 3? 2 for 4, because I think the Thresh died earlier. So 2 for 4, pretty good for red team. I mean, you have the Ori Jarvan combo, which is really good. I mean, you get everyone clumped up, big Ori ulti, and you have ricochets coming in from the Sivir. So your AoE damage is very significant and very good, while the Kled and the Vayne are going to be pure single target for the majority of the time. And while Vayne can, shred through people really fast, it is definitely going to take you a little bit more time to chew through some of these tanks, especially with like the Shen W making it where you miss your autos. So the Vlad's going to have to pick up the slack and try to do as much AoE damage as possible for his team. Gets the cheeky hook. If they keep diving, they have the damage. Yep. It's just a bad recall. If you're under tower, you don't get hooked like that. Kled without Tiamat is going to have trouble clearing this wave. He's going to get harassed too low now. He's not going to be able to do anything with the wave. So he's going to have to base here. The red team is, or blue team is pulling into the lead macro-wise because they got the kill on the Shen. Just taking towers. He gets hit by the hook. And just gets bamboozled there by the Condemn and a couple Flay and maybe some other stuff. But yeah, this is why you have to go Tiamat first on Kled. You have to be able to clear waves and push. And he's not able to do that with a Black Cleaver first. So another hook, really good on Thresh. Not any damage. And here comes the Ori ult. So we get the damage arrive just in time. And blue team gets the cover up. The thing is with the reason why these fights are going so well for blue team is that it's a lot easier to execute the alright, I'm Jarvan, I see a clumped up people, let me just and then Ori can just put her ball somewhere in there at all, and maybe just on the Jarvan, just ult that. And that just makes it's so easy just to do. While blue team, it's like they have to kind of run at you / get the initiate off of the Zac with a Kled running in, and then Vayne's just gonna have to focus whoever's in front of you. She's not gonna be able to dive past Cataclysm, and then the Vlad's got to be there too. Working on Zonia is definitely the good thing here. Trying to survive it as long as possible in these team fights. Zac's going for more MR. With only this Orianna, I'm not sure if going double MR this early is necessary. Also considering the Ori's not exactly fed. She's going for Merlinamicon, which isn't very good against your already Spirit Visage. Here's the Shen. He's got a lot of damage. I mean, he's got 8 kills, so he's definitely one to be feared in this situation. Looks like Sivir is going for the heavy AD build, which isn't as good for team fights because you need more autos, result in more ricochets. Get the good Shen ulti, gets enough shielding. Sivir survives, it's really good. Misses the Ori ulti though. Kled should die here. Yep. And you saw all the Sivir bounces. There's a whole bunch of damage there. Shen's feeling pretty strong, so he's going in. This is pretty rough, because you have your damage dealers tanking the tower, but your Shen's so strong that it doesn't really matter. My guess is the Shen's going for Wit's End with the recurve bow, which is fine because if you're this far ahead, more damage is fine. Making it where your 1v1 potential is actually really good, and since you're so far ahead, it doesn't matter that Kled technically does scale better in the 1v1, but you're in a situation where it doesn't matter. Shen gets out. Flash Q from the Sivir, making some good plays. Jarvan's gonna die here. Yep. Good Oriole. Sivir still dies though. So, it's definitely a close game with only like 2k difference between both of them. So, basically, how these team fights are gonna go is if the Vayne or if the Vlad get hit by Ori ulti, they probably lose the fight. If they don't get hit by, and neither of them get hit by it, they probably win. Ori gets the steal. Zach does still have smite. That's bad. If you have pink wards on the Baron, maybe. Except, I mean, Ori has the ball, but if you try to interrupt her, Thrush Hook possibly. So that's pretty tragic considering that you kind of just won the fight and you're trying to take Baron and then enemy mid laners takes it. So that's really bad. Red team's now gonna get a whole bunch of gold off of this because no one can really match the Shen right now in the 1v1. So he should just split probably top just because Dragon might be coming up relatively soon. Well, no, the Dragon was taken during that fight. So he can go bot lane, which is fine. So Sivir finished her IEs, working on her attack speed item now. Vayne's on 3 items. Kind of her core items right now. The Blade of the Rune King, Rage Blade, and the Zeal item. Zac still isn't building too much armor, which is a little concerning. Makes it really hard to tower dive. Yeah, they're not in a position to tower dive right now, but if they would, and like I said, there's only really one main source of magic damage with the Ori. I mean, I suppose that the Shen's like mixed damage, so it doesn't really help too much there. Sona's got her Ardent Sensor, which is going to be beefing up the Sivir, which is really good. Still don't have a Tiamat from the Kled. It's not good. Just going to have a hard time clearing against his Baron waves. So, looking for the ulti on the Shen. So, doing this, they're committing to this play, which is perfectly fine. The Ori was base. Why the Ori base? Did the Ori have to buy something? Okay, so Ori was top lane, pushing it out. So, because of this, the Shen's actually in a really bad position because you have your Ori who's in top lane, who's not pressuring anything. Like, if the Ori was like right here, then pushing it this far is fine because then your Ori can push to the tower, except there's a Zac, so it's actually really sketchy for the Ori being by yourself. But the rest of your team is in a good spot, but your Ori isn't, and your Ori doesn't have TP. So the Shen just should not just be pushed up this far if he's splitting. While they do have to commit the full 5, I think they'll get the mid lane turret, but probably not the inhib turret, because your Ori's still 30 seconds away. So they might get the turret, but they're gonna have to go with the fight though. Flash. Yep. So staying for the tower, you're gonna lose two more kills. Ori's here, and you have to be careful. Yep. So this is one of the situations where you need to realize that the entire team was coming. So taking that tower results in just a whole bunch of more people dying, which is bad. So you give up pretty much an ace, right? You do give up an ace for the mid lane inhib tower, which is a very important thing, but like the tower should have been at a quarter and they should have left, right? Instead they decided to stay, not respecting the Zac ulti. Should get the kill. Oh no, one more auto. Oh well. Um, that's also what I mean, where Zac doesn't have any armor, so he can't take up the tower as long as he needs to. So the Shen does go wit's end. Try to fight the Vlad and the Shen, or the Zac, I suppose. Definitely needs like a Thornmail or a Randuin's to have a better shot against the Kled and the Vayne. That should be his next item here. Dragon's coming up. Kled's top lane with TP, so that is fine. Red team's getting the Scuttle Crab, which is good. We've seen Vision. It's an Infernal Drake, so red team really wants it, and also blue team also wants it too, so let's see how this goes. Getting some vision around everything. Misses the hook. Should have your Shen not be here. Should definitely be in top lane. He's got ult, and you're probably going to want the ult the Jarvan. Okay, Zac engage. You gotta follow the ball. So the ball's right here. In the Cataclysm. Hits the Thresh pretty much, and that's it. So, as I said, if you don't get... Oh. He was a little overeager. But that kind of shows how, like I said, these team fights are gonna go, is if Ori ult does... Ooh, gets the kill there. That's pretty good. But if the Ori ult doesn't hit the Vlad or the Vayne, then red or blue team's gonna win that fight because they're just so mobile and they can dodge everything. So we can look at that fight again, see how it goes. So Zac's charging up his slingshot right now, or maybe not right now. Zac's looking for the engage. Sees it. Doesn't hit anyone. Oh, he hits one person. He hits the Sivir with the knockup from his E. Starts ulting, causing chaos and everything, which is fine. You have to look at the ball, which is right here. Vlad's pretty low. He still hasn't used Yonia's, but he got low from the Shen and the Jarvan doing damage. So, yeah. The Oriole only catches the Thresh, and you still have the Kled alive, and you still have the Vayne. We actually don't even know where. I think the Vayne's over here. Or no, the Vayne's right here. And the Vayne's perfectly safe. So, basically, this Zac is still alive after two of your people have already died, right? After Shen, who's your most fed person, maybe not the tankiest against the Vayne, but the Shen's dead already, and the Zac's still alive with pure MR. So, like, it's kind of showing that the Sivir might not be autoing when she needs to. I mean, Sivir's not known to be like a huge tank killer, so it does take her a little bit. So definitely, it goes down once the Sivir starts focusing, but it's might be showing that the Sivir's not being able to free auto during the entire fight. It's a good kill. Traded back onto the vein there at the end, though. It makes it where they can't, like... Well, Baron's not up, but they can't, like, probably push for mid without having to reset. Because it's going to take him too long to get the dragon. So, but the Faro Drakes evened up. It's definitely looking to be quite a bit of a game. Van's got 14 kills. That's a lot. QSS bot. Yep. So if the Vayne doesn't get caught by Oriole, she should be fine. So she should be able to pretty much 1v4, 1v5 in this game. So basically, we just need to keep a front line for the Sivir so the Sivir can free auto. She's got Phantom Dancer. It's perfectly fine. Gets her next crit item, maybe, or if she goes for lifesteal. Kind of depends. She probably should finish up a Last Whisper so she can try to kill the Zac as fast as possible. It's kind of the play here. So Baron's coming up pretty soon. I need to have vision. Got blue ward, which is good. Sona should not be face checking these bushes because she can get popped real easily. Your Shen's in bot lane, perfectly fine. It's exactly where he needs to be. He has ult. Cled's also down in bot lane because you know that's happening. Sivir ulti. Ori's in a bad spot. Good Ori ult though. Shen ult coming in, but there's a good Ori ult, but there's no follow up. But he gets the Vayne though, so that's important. So now the only one left is the Vlad. But your team is already down because your Sivir and your Ori are dead. So in that team fight, the Ori was trying to go for a flank, which was not what we needed. Which was not good because you don't have anyone to dissuade them just turning on you entirely. So Vlad's coming in. They use Sivir ult to try to run away. Surprised Shen didn't ult here, but it's fine. Sona ulti to prevent the follow up, which is exactly what you want. Flay onto the Ori. So you get this. So you get this Wombo, and everyone's in this Cataclysm, which is good. But your Sivir is pretty much dead. Like, basically your Sivir was so low from the initial engage that like she needs to be basing. Like there should be no reason that she's trying to approach anything here. And she just dies, right? Dies right there. And your Ori's dead because she got turned on from trying to flank. So you have no damage left in this team composition. It's a 2 damage, 2 threat team, which is fine. Cled's trying to buy some time. He's dying to red buff though. Shen's fed enough where he might be able to pull this out, depending, especially with the Sona showing up. Okay, gets that. Alright, that was good. Basically, they overchased. Blue team overchased into the red side jungle without knowing where anyone is. And also, Shen does have a lot of kills, and you don't have either of your main damage besides, I mean, Vlad was there, but Vlad's not going to be able to kill the Shen super fast. Starting up the Baron here. You don't have Sivir, so you're not going to be able to kill it very fast, but you do have Shen who can tank. So it's not the end of the world here. Trying to see if you can get a good angle. Sivir's in the back of the pit. Okay, they get the Baron. Which is pretty much free because Zac and the Thresh are dead from overextending. So that causes them to lose the Baron. So blue team has now lost 2 Barons, one from a steal and one from overextending into chasing, trying to get kills. So blue team needs to identify where the Shen's gonna go because Shen has TP soon and his ult soon, so he should be off by himself. The Kled's still probably too weak to fight the Shen, considering he's two whole items down. So you might have to send the Vayne, which sounds awkward, but the Vayne can definitely 1v1 the Shen, and that kind of shuts down your entire split push strategy. The only issue is you don't really have wave clear for Baron minions, or just a push in general. Like you kind of just have to engage, which is fine because your team is really good at that. You have Zac and Kled who are just really good at like, hey, let's just engage and not have to worry about wave clear. So that's really good. This is like the one time where not having wave clear is fine because you just have engage and you're not super far behind. So Spellbinder and the Vlad, just more movement speed, trying to compensate for the fact that there's a Sona and a Sivir, so you have to try to catch people. Kled's pushing out too far without vision. Should live here actually, especially with the Zac showing up. Shen's getting out of position, getting hooked and CC'd under a tower. Very good Ori ulti. Kills the Kled. And I'm pretty sure it catches the Vlad. So you still have Vayne though, so you're not in too bad shape. But with Baron buff, you're just going to have to give this outer tower particularly. So right now, so with your Shen dead, even though there's two dead on the other side, there is Vayne. Orielty isn't up yet, so I just need to be playing for just pushing waves, probably for his next dragon that's coming up or is up. Yep, another Ocean Drake. But it would be nice if Miracles got this, because Triple Ocean Drake is really good, but and he gets the nice drive by. It's pretty cool trick you can do with Zac, because you can actually fly over the pit with your slingshot being so long. So the Triple Ocean Break is actually really good, making it where they can pretty much stay out on the map the entire time, and I don't have to worry about basing for mana or health. So that's really important. We'd really like to have a Void Staff on the Vlad, considering that there's a fair amount of MR on the tanks for the red side, red team, and even the Sivir's got a QSS now. So there's not a lot of QSS except for maybe Thresh Hook. So maybe Maw would have been better. I think Maw is better against Vlad in general. But there's not a lot of CC you're going to cleanse because you have knock up from Zac, and like a pullback from Kled. It's kind of awkward. I think maybe the Maw would have been better. But she does have the armor pen that she needed. Probably try to deal with the Zac and the Kled, which is good. Kled still doesn't have his third item yet, so he's still relatively weak. So right now your strongest player is Vayne, very obviously. So you definitely want to play around her, peel around her. And it's still kind of a situation where as long as both Vlad and Vayne don't get hit by Orianna ulti, should be fine. So need to send someone bot lane, which we're saying the Kled, whose TP is almost up, which is perfectly fine. And this is one of the issues when you go Sunfire is that you can't approach towers if someone's there. So he needs to run away. There's no vision, and your team doesn't see anyone. So he's starting to back up a little bit, which is really good. It's very important. Playing that right. So like last time where in top lane he almost got dove. Zac engage misses. Orianna ulti only hits the Thresh, so blue team should win this fight. Yeah, with Orianna ulti missing, she definitely lose this fight. Vlad might be extending a little too far. And this is kind of just like Zac engage is just a lot better than Jarvan engage for the most part, considering that Jarvan engage could be interrupted very easily by Thresh. And Zac's just tankier, he doesn't need to do damage. And it's just looking like Sivers not being able to free auto during any of these fights, which is pretty tragic. So the Shen's trying to go in and trying to buy time on the Vayne, but what you might need to do is you might just need to bodyguard the Sivir, because with 2 damage threat comp, you have or 2 threat comp, you kind of have to heal for your carries because one of your carries goes down, half of your damage for your comp goes down. So maybe the Shen needs to be looking to sit around the Vayne or the Sivir a little bit more, with his W being able to protect the Sivir, and the Sivir just free fire with the W, ricochet, and everything. A little bit harder to kite the Vlad, but everything else should be okay for him to try to stop. Because the Zack's not exactly going to do a whole lot of damage. No life steal yet is kind of a bummer, but should be okay. Vayne might sell her boots pretty soon for another crit item, depending how much he likes the additional movement speed. Triforce is really good. I mean, you get movement speed, you get the Triforce proc, Shin proc. It's really good. This is kind of showing that, having a lot of kills on Shen's nice, but really needed on your other carries, which your Orianna's a good spot. It looks like the Ori is going for probably a Leandries. He's not going for Death Cap, so that's a little disappointing. Because you have everything else, it would have been nice to have the Death Cap, or he gets hooked here, but there's no one to follow up because your Zack's behind and your Vayne's in mid lane, so it's good there. Yeah, I'm curious what she's gonna buy. I guess Leandries would be the thing that comes to mind. Death Cap would have been really good though. Vlad hasn't really worked on anything yet. Like I said, I would like if he would get a Void Staff here, considering you do have some MR across the enemy team for the most part. So, and he didn't go double pen either, so it's just more damage. Elder Drake is alive. Blue team definitely wants this a little bit more than red team. Get the extra damage and the burn. Baron's also up. So red team is just giving this up for the most part from the looks like. Draven's coming in. Doesn't have vision, so he doesn't know. Goes in for the ulti. Ori's in the middle of everyone, which is not good, but gets a decent ulti, but it's on the main carries. But the Sivir is able to free fire, which is all they needed to do for this fight to win. And the Vayne got exploded too. I wonder how that happened. Alright, so Jarvan goes in. Oh, he goes in on the Vayne. The Vayne or something. That's who he's ulting here. Okay, and the Sivir's just focusing the Vayne. So this is perfectly fine. This is exactly what you want. This, like right here, the Sivir's being able to free hit, and you're taking down the most fed person because the Vayne was just in this position. And without Flash being able to get out of the Cataclysm super easily, or saving your tumble with your ult to be able to get out of the Cataclysm too. So that's a one fight for red team. Even with the Ori, so they took down one of the threats, which was the Ori, but they need to get the Sivir too, because this is the point where Sivir is just super strong also. So 3 for 1 definitely shows. If they don't lose right here, which they shouldn't because the respawn timer should happen before they get the double buffs. Basically, need to not do any fights unless they can just get the pure catch on the Sivir. Maybe you also need to catch on the Orianna too at this point, but definitely if you get the catch on the Sivir, it should be fine. Ooh. Poor Thresh gets caught out from the TP play of the Ori. They all recall though, so it's kind of weird for Ori to do that. One second, I gotta take this call. Hello? never mind. It was a telemarketer, of course, asking my vehicle's extended warranty. I don't have a warranty on my vehicle, so. Anyway, back to the game. So with having the Infernal Drake and the Baron buff, basically any fight that happens is definitely going to be red sided super hard because there's big buffs that are really hard to do. Vlad doesn't get hit by the taunt, which is really nice. Vlad's going for Death Cap next, which is fine. It makes sense and why you would want this because it's going to give you a lot of HP. It's going to make all your other AP better. So it's understandable, but you're at the point where like you need to have the Void Staff to cut through this MR, right? Like you have, oh yeah, discount what I said about going Hex Drinker on the Sivir, because she has Phantom Dancer. I just don't see most Sivers go Phantom Dancer. They go like they not Gunblade. They go Rapid Fire Cannon or Static Shiv, but so you couldn't go Hex Drinker. But like you have Ma on one carry, and everyone else except for like everyone else on the enemy team has MR. So the damage from a voice out is going to help you tremendously more. So Vlad's trying to make a play here. He's going to get CC'd before he can zone use though, sadly. Vayne's trying to make a play too. Gets soul ulted by the Ori. The Cled's trying to buy time. Vayne might be doing it. Nope, he's just going to get crit twice and die. And this should be the end of the game. Again, you just really need to not be fighting when they have these buffs, but nothing you could do about it. Vlad kind of went in without being... if the Vlad got the Zonias off, that might have looked a little bit better, but that was just a position where you just have to wait until both of the buffs are gone, or at least one of them's gone before you can think about fighting. So that game kind of just revolved around execution around team fights. Also, Kled not building or not going Conqueror makes it where he has a really tough time against the Shen in the side lane. Also, not going Tiamat early makes it where he can't push and threaten taking tower against the Shen, who should be looking for an ulti play somewhere else, but never did happen throughout the laning phase. So if you're gonna pick Shen, yes, it has an okay matchup into the Kled in the laning phase specifically. After that, it doesn't really. You have to use your ulti to make plays. If you're not going to, then you really shouldn't be picking Shen. There are other picks that do okay into Kled. And then basically, because of how the team comps worked, is both of them were 2-threat team comps pretty much. And if you were able to burst one or the other fast enough, that's kind of how the team would win. It looked like the earlier team fights, the Sivir wasn't able to free fire, couldn't get the ricochets off, but later on you kind of saw the crits and everything happen and was able to carry from that. And so it should be 2-0 in favor of the Bonobos team, I believe. So I will see you guys in game 3.